Game time almost 10 o'clock. Oh, shit. You don't run from this pipe.
Thank you, Ka.
Game time almost 10 o'clock. That's a lot.
We're live on YouTube. Hi guys, welcome in. This is the RuMa Mill. We're about to start in a second. Kyle, I think you're the only bouncer in here right now, so just let people know that we are recording. We're about to record. Actually, what's the last time we taped the RuMa Mill? I don't even know.
Bless you.
Thank you. I don't even know what episode this is.
I think 8, I believe.
No.
You could put it in after. You can't put it in after.
Yeah, I'm gonna just say welcome to the RuMa Mill. All right, and then I'll kick it off with the band. Got you. Okay, I'm gonna hit record. You ready?
Yeah, I'm trying to make sure this is close enough to be on this one. On this one.
You look great,
Yeah.
baby. Wonderful. All right, here we go. Hi guys, welcome back to the RuMa Mill here with Big Rose and Uma. Hey Rose.
Yo, what's Gucci? How y'all feeling? How's everybody? How's everybody? I hope everybody had a good week coming into the weekend pause. What's up, King? How you feeling?
Welcome in, guys. We are recording the RuMa Mill podcast. We are recording right now. We are also live on YouTube and live on the Meet Me app. So this is where Rose and I are streamers. If anybody wants to find us on the Meet Me app and come join us in our streams, you can download the Meet Me app to your phone, come to the live stream section and search for our names, Big Rose, E with the accent on the end, and Uma B1111. Man, we have so many topics for you guys tonight. And I know we've been on a hiatus, a combination of lifing, right? Being sick, we got sick a little bit, work schedules, it's been crazy, but we do love this podcast, right, babe? We love this podcast and we want to come and talk about some topics. So for those of you that are watching live, if you do want to jump in the box and chat with us, just know this, the audio that is being recorded will not pick up your voice, your questions, what you're saying. So if you find Rose and I are repeating what you're saying, it's more for the purpose of the podcast. Okay. More for the purpose of the podcast. So let's kick it off. Let's jump in and talk about this upcoming TikTok ban. Wow. So I am a TikTok streamer. I stream every day on TikTok. I have a little community over there. And I remember when I first heard about the ban, initially I wasn't scared. I wasn't nervous. For some reason, I just felt it was going to be okay. But what are your thoughts about it, Rose? What is everybody's thoughts about this TikTok ban? Is it going to happen? Do you feel it's going to happen?
I personally don't think it's gonna happen. I know why it's happening though, but I don't think something. I'm pretty sure businesses sign 10-year deals with TikTok. Them businesses is not gonna let TikTok go out of here, and the reason why TikTok is being forced to be sold is because this is disrupting the system. It's how when you go on like Facebook, Meta, Instagram, you can't say certain things and stuff like that. Allegedly, you understand? You can't post certain news. You understand? It's called misinformation. Allegedly, right? TikTok, everybody's posting news. It's not one form of propaganda. To me, I feel like everything else is propaganda. And TikTok, being that it's not owned in the US, that it has a little more freedom.
Well, that was the official statement, I believe, from the government, is that they said, even though TikTok is owned by a Chinese company, I believe the company is called ByteDance, that the government, the US government feels that TikTok can be infiltrated, because let's just say if the US and China was to go to war or, to not be on the same page, they felt that the Chinese government could put pressure on this company, and this company has like, what is it, over 10 million viewers, and a lot of them are based in the US. So they felt that there could be some sort of interference there, and that's why they felt the need to put ownership into an American company. That's the official reason why they have issued a TikTok ban. So we're on the countdown. We have a week. It's coming up to a week of the company making a decision about what they're going to do. Actually, let me while we are talking, let me just look up and see any latest news about the TikTok ban.
Well, why you looking up the news? I'm gonna say I don't believe that's the reason why. I believe the reason why is because TikTok has a shop and it's smashing Facebook shop. It's smashing Amazon. It's like it's disrupting the system. And that's the issue. And that's why they want to get it banned or seek more control over it.
Right. So as of today on the New York Times, it says TikTok is once again facing a potential ban. And this app has been under threat since 2020, as lawmakers increasingly argue that the Chinese government's relationship with TikTok's parent company, ByteDance, raises national security risks. So there's the House passes a bill to force TikTok's sale from Chinese owner or ban the app. And this was since March 13th. So we are coming up to, it's over. I apologize. TikTok has over 170 million US users, 170 million US. That I understand. I guess I understand a little bit about the US government's stance on this. And the vote was last Wednesday.
So
there's
like I said, I just believe it's because TikTok is disrupting the system. Before you went to Facebook for everything, it's the same people's in charge. Zuckerberg, Elon, all these people, always the same people in charge, always leading something, always pushing a message. Then you got TikTok where you get messages from everywhere, and it's unbiased. So that I think that's really the issue here, and also the shop, the TikTok shop. I think that's a big issue too because I heard they give you free shipping is better than Amazon. So this is what I'm hearing, and this is what I'm studying. I'm looking around, and even like a month ago, I didn't have routes, and TikTok was booming. A lot of Amazon, and I work for Amazon, so this is what I'm talking about. I'm directly affected by this. So I really believe that it's just the disturbance that TikTok is causing. And that's it. It's just basically they just want to push the same propaganda. And I never used to really care for TikTok until you started really streaming on it. And now I see why the government can say it's gonna have like allegedly Chinese spies or whatever's going on. I can see that, but that's not the real issue. Because
this is your opinion, correct?
Yeah, this is my opinion. But I'm saying this is like, I don't believe that's the real issue. I always say it's always a distraction for something. And once you find a just follow the money. I tell people that all the time. Follow the money. Once you follow the money, you're going to figure out they can't ban TikTok.
Yeah. So we'll see. I know it definitely is a disruption for those of us that use TikTok. For me, the beginning of this year, I transitioned fully to becoming a professional content creator and live streamer. And my main source of business has now become like a little bit, not completely my part-time, but it's moving more towards becoming a part-time. So if there was a ban on TikTok, that would disrupt a lot of small businesses like myself. And but I do feel confident that even if TikTok was to be banned in the US, I feel confident that the US companies would come up with something similar. And then we would have to take a period of adjustment. to get on the app and then restart again and then do it over. But I mean, isn't that the nature of having a small business, right? Like you have to be aware that you have to sometimes do a restart or a pivot, as we like to call it in the business world. We have to do a pivot. And in me being a small business owner for 15 years, there has been many, many years I've had to do the pivot. So if for anybody listening, if you are on TikTok or any of these streaming apps, YouTube, Plenty of Fish, Meet Me, Bigo, uh, as changes happen with the apps, my biggest thing to you guys as a small business entrepreneur is pivot with it and don't feel so depressed or let down or oh that's it, my shop's closed and I'm out. No, like allow yourself to, all of us that are on these things, we're creative, right? So use your creativity to find another way with it.
I
And
got one
yeah,
more note. They said TikTok is going to be the hold on. They said TikTok. They said TikTok is rivaling with Google to be the biggest search engine in the next 4 years, if it's allowed. So I think that's also an issue too. It's a lot of secret things going on behind closed doors.
allegedly.
Allegedly.
I have to with Rose, I have to
But
keep saying allegedly because one time we did post a video on YouTube and it got banned and I had to take down the whole video.
need a button.
Yeah, we need a button for Rose. This is a Rose's opinion. This is, freedom of speech. He's allowed to have an opinion, but it's his opinion.
Yeah, these are just my opinions. That's a disclaimer. We don't want nobody to sue us. All
That,
right.
you're such a good disruptor, I have to say.
That's why I noticed. That's why I can notice the disruption that's going on with the TikTok. You see what I'm saying? Thank you. Thank you.
Moving on. Hi, guys. Welcome in. If you're watching live on YouTube or the Meet Me app, we are so happy to have you guys here. Feel free to request the box or put it in the comments if you have questions for us or you want to add to the conversation. We always appreciate interaction.
Okay, so now we're gonna switch it over to I want to ask if you could be a child. If you had a chance, would you want to be a famous child star?
Absolutely not. Because after seeing over my years growing up, now remember, I grew up in the 80s and the 90s, and a lot of my childhood stars they have either died from ODs or they have some serious, serious drug, alcohol addictions and problems. So for me, from when I grew up, no, I would not have wanted to be in TV. What
I
about you?
don't. I don't think. I mean, back then it looked good, but now in hindsight, though. But I would have been one of them kids like, you're not doing that to me. What's wrong with you? We gonna fight. You feel me? That would have been me. I'm just saying. I knew right from wrong at a young age. So I wanted to. So I asked that question because I was devastated the other day. I
You
had watched.
were.
We had watched Quiet on the Set. It's like the Nickelodeon documentary. Yeah, that's the Brooklyn way. I would have been like, yo, oh sorry. Right, look. So we watched Quiet on the Set. It's on Hulu, right? It's a 4 episode documentary on like the mistreatments and the alleged sexual, well, it was some sexual abuse and allegedly whatever
Essay.
else. Yeah, the essay. Right? So on that show, the show is basically about if you watch Nickelodeon, if you was born like 85, like if you was growing up in the 90s, early 2000s, Nickelodeon had a lot of shows out, like all that, Keenan and Kel, the Amanda Show, Are You Afraid of the Dark? All them shows we used to watch, right? It was one
Wait, let
guy
me ask, did anybody watch those shows? Because that was after my time. I was more like the earlier shows, you know? Okay, King, he said he saw those shows. Those shows were fun. Anyone else? Did you guys watch
Yeah.
shows?
So 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 I was telling Uma I wanted to watch it because I grew up watching it. I knew my Saturday night just as how exactly what I told Uma. I said I used to come home, pause. We would play basketball. I have to come in the house at before the street lights is on, or my mother coming outside. Right. So Saturday night it was all that Amanda Bonds. Are You Afraid of the Dark? And I forgot the last show. But whatever, it probably was Ren and Stimpy, because Ren and Stimpy used to come on like 10:30 because it
Oh, yeah,
was
I remember that.
right. So so we watched the show and it was a lot of things going on. First of all, the show follows the basic abuse. I mean the abuse of the abuser or so-called abuser Dan Schneider. He was a showrunner for Nickelodeon from like 1994 to 2000, up to 2015, 2016.
He had a long
And,
run.
and he was accused of horrendous things. But I would say the worst thing he ever did was not be a good boss. So back in these times, it was things like he hired two female writers and paid them one salary. That was wrong. Um,
That was terrible.
his writers, let me see, and because of that, wait, wait, what happened? You disappeared here.
I'm here.
All right, two of the head woman writers had to split their salaries, and that was illegal by the Screenwriters Guild. And then and then they found that out, and he said he fired one of them. It was just bad habits. He fired one of them because he demand time, like he wanted you to be there all the time. She missed 2 weekends within a year, and she was fired. Then the other lady, one of the other lady writers, she had to work extraneous hours, and also it was a 22-week salary. I think she was only paid for 14 weeks. She couldn't do it. It was the Rob Schneider had women massaging him on set while they were shooting films, while they were shooting the film. He hired
His name was
two,
Dan Schneider.
yeah, Dan Schneider. Um he um he hired three three sexual offenders. Their names is Jason Handy, Michael Peck, and Ezel Channel. And also, what's up? Right, he hired them. They was accused of assault. One of them was talking to a young girl. He was emailed to a picture of him naked. The other one was responsible for Drake's Bell. That's from Drake and Josh. His sexual offender was um, um what's his name? I got his name. His name was Brian Peck. Brian Peck was the sexual offender of Drake Bell, and Drake Bell wound up becoming a sexual offender. Just a lot of stuff going on. A lot of like parents that was managers and um acting coaches, like putting wedges between the families to get closer to these kids. It was just a lot, but allegedly, you understand? It was a lot going on there, and that kind of hurt me because I really, like I said, I grew up watching them shows. So you
It
understand? How do
was
you feel?
hard to, it was hard to watch because well, one, it's you got to take into account how everybody has a bias. My bias is I'm a woman and I'm a mother. So they were talking about two topics that's very close to me. They were literally from this documentary, they were not treating women equally. They were not like Rose said, they had two female writers. Every other writer was male. They had two female writers that were sharing one salary. And that really hurt my heart, because how is it that in today's day and age, men still look at women and say, I want you to work for me, but I don't feel you're good enough. You're worth half of a man. And they literally have that that Dan Schneider said from their accounts, from people who interact with him. They said that he said that he did not feel female writers were as good or as funny as male writers. And I don't think, I have to say this, he did issue an apology. The Los Angeles Times on Monday, March 18th, ran an article. It said, Dan Schneider says quiet on the set allegations made him feel awful and regretful. Former Nickelodeon producer Dan Schneider said he would have taken a different approach to his hit shows after watching his TV empire face scrutiny in the docuseries Quiet on the Set. Watching over the past 2 nights was very difficult, he said in a video. Me facing my past behaviors, some of which are embarrassing and that I regret. And I definitely owe some people a pretty strong apology. I like that he did that, because I don't think he was a molester. I don't think that anybody on there accused him of being a molester. They were more talking about how he was unfair to women. He made a lot of sexual innuendos, like a lot. If you go back and look at a lot of those old Nickelodeon shows, there were very disturbing things they had the children do. Like they had children putting peanut butter all over themselves and having dogs lick the peanut butter off of them. They had this little black kid, I forgot his name, but they had him as a Captain Nose, was a superhero, and he talked about how he felt uncomfortable wearing tights. And then nobody mentioned it in the docuseries, but I thought it was a bit racist because he was a black kid and they made him, Captain Nose or superhero nose, and they put a big nose on his face, and they were talking more about the nose looked like a male's private parts, the bat and the balls, if you will. And it did look like that. But I also thought, but isn't this racist too? Because, they also had another racist incident where they had a skit with 2 kids, one young black kid and one young white kid. And they were, the black kid had candy. Was it candy he had?
It was cookies. He was selling cookies.
Cookies.
Racial undertone, yeah.
Yeah, and then the white kid was like he was being secretive about selling the cookies, and the white kid was asking him for the cookies, and it was a lot. And now that we're older and we see it, of course, when you're younger, you don't really pay attention to those things. You just think it's funny and whatever else. But now that we're older, we're like, wait a minute, there's so many racial and sexual undertones. So having Dan Schneider come out and apologize, I personally accept his apology, because I feel that was the energy since then. Like Rose, haven't we talked about that the childhood we grew up in, it was rough. People were making fun of the LGBTQ community. People were making fun of races, whether you were white or you were black or you were Indian. We made racial jokes. All the comedians did it back then. Back then, everybody kind of took it with a grain of salt. But you know what? We weren't the ones people were making fun of. So I wasn't gay growing up. So I don't know how terrible that must have been for a gay person receiving that kind of scrutiny. So I feel with Dan Schneider, he probably viewed women the way he did because of the time that was in. What do you think?
I think Dan Schneider was one of them kids that didn't know how to talk to girls before. Remember, he was an actor too. And they said he was just like, he had like a typecast. He was the fat, goofy kid and all the things. And I think that like kind of caused him to have like weird kind of interactions with women after. That's just my opinion, you understand? And I don't think he knew how to be nice to women. He just didn't see them as equal. He see them as back then, not how he feels now. In hindsight, he sees them as like, you understand, like objects and stuff.
Yeah, because to have women on the set massaging you, like these women weren't hired to massage you and you made a lot of money. Why don't you just hire a massage therapist? Was my thought. Like, you don't have to have these women. And then he would say things like, $300. He told this one woman, if you eat 2 pints of ice cream in under 30 minutes, I'll give you $300.
Mhm.
And it just felt like the atmosphere on those sets, people were just afraid to make him mad. Because he would threaten people regularly, you're fired, I'll fire you if you don't do this, which we all know is unacceptable now. But back then, it also makes me think, this is my opinion, of course, that maybe he was not the right person to receive that amount of power. We always talk about, when you get powerful, you get to see who people really are. And I
The,
think all
on-
that power went to his head.
the only problem I would say I have with it is that how he hired 3 sexual offenders. That's like, I understand his apology, but how? You did 1, 2, and another one? Like,
Now,
you got to do,
Nickelodeon apologized for that.
huh?
Nickelodeon apologized for that because Nickelodeon was the one that did the hiring,
All
remember,
right.
ultimately. And they even said in the docuseries, they said, you know, we don't know how this got past the hiring people over there, that these people had sex offenders history, you know.
Mm.
It was in their records.
So I
And
would just, so
terrible.
what I learned from this is that the worst part I learned from this is how they tore families apart, basically. Like
Right.
how the kid had, like, a lot of kids emancipated themselves as childhood stars. Amanda Bynes tried to do it. The kid, like, it was the kid Brian Jones. His mother was like, I think she was West Indian by her accent, the way I heard her speak.
She
I
was
thought she
definitely New Yorker.
Yeah, she was like West Indian or something. So she really wasn't having all that peanut butter and all that stuff. But it put the son in a position at like 10 years old, 11 years old. Because he don't want to do it. But if he tell his mother, she's gonna wild out, and then he might not get a part. Which what happened. He didn't get called back for a season because of his mother, and he kind of placed blame on his mother. He
and
said
it
he's going to therapy now.
and it affected their relationship because he blamed her for a long time. But this is also a good note to parents, right? Like, you are not your child's best friend. You have to be the parent and you have to look out for your children, because there are grown adults that want to take advantage of your children. There was another situation about a father. What was the guy's name? Was that Drake's father?
Drake's father was the manager of Drake. So Drake's father got him into acting from 5 years old, and he was the manager. But him and the mother wasn't together. And then Brian Peck started coaching Drake, and then Brian Peck builded a wedge between the mother and the father, to where the mother didn't want the father to manage him no more. But the father said, when he willingly just said, "All right, cool, I'm not going to do it, but I want you to do me one favor.
Don't leave.
Don't leave Brian Peck around Drake alone or for nothing." And right away, she was doing exactly what he didn't say. Drake Bell wound up being molested in all kind of ways. Well, that's not allegedly. That's true. And then Drake Bell wound up becoming sort of an offender himself, because he tried to call a young girl after his assault. So it was crazy.
It cycles. Welcome in. Hi, Six. We're doing the Rumor Mill podcast. Feel free to box up if you want to. We're just talking about current events. And yeah, I'm going to TikTok later. We talked about the TikTok ban. We're talking about this new docuseries right now that's it's on Hulu? No,
Yeah, Hulu.
it's our Netflix.
No,
No,
no, Hulu.
It's on Hulu called Quiet on the Set. You know, I don't know if you grew up with Nickelodeon, and a lot of the child stars are coming out talking about, you know, sexual essay on the set, and we're talking about it. You know, the one thing is that I got to see a little bit of how predators move. And that was kind of scary to watch because, like we said, Brian Peck was a predator on the Nickelodeon set. He was kind of like the assistant, right? He would walk the children from one area to the next.
No, he was a dialogue coach.
Oh,
He like
my apologies. He was a dialogue coach. So he would get in really good with the parents and earn the trust of the parents to the point where he was hanging out in children's bedrooms, playing video games with them. And I'm thinking to myself, like, what parent is letting this be okay? You know, and he just kind of weaseled his way in. And the parents that gave a kickback, like, you know, the New York mom, she was not having it with her son, and he got the kid fired. Well, not fired, he let the kid go after a couple of seasons. And then the other kid, uh, it was his father that was bringing him to set, but the father didn't like how Brian Peck was moving around him. So he actually was distancing his son from Brian Peck, and Brian Peck got in the mother's ear because they were a divorced couple. And then the mother was, as Rose said, you know, told the father, you can't be a manager anymore. And he got in. So you just gotta you gotta be careful with your kids. There's actual adults out here that purposely prey on the kindness and weakness, you know. Oh yes, Eli brought up a good point. He said Steve from Blue's Clues was a predator. In my time, it was her Pee Wee Herman. Was it Pee Wee Sherman? Pee Wee Herman? I forgot his name now. He passed on, but he also was you know, linked to that kind of lifestyle. I wonder, why do you guys think there's so much sexual abuse, sexual fixation, sex? Like, why? Why is there so much of this in the world today?
I want me to tell you,
Okay.
sex, unfortunately, is what they put on the TV. It's like, I mean, it's some of that is what they put in literature. It's a lot. It's a lot. And some people just ain't you know, ain't equipped enough to know how to talk to people they age. It's a lot. Like, but it's really because of it's really because the exploitation of sex to me is why it's like this.
And Six
Yeah.
brought up a good point. He said males around female sports, which we've heard about those Olympic, you know, athletes coming out and talking about their coaches violated them or, you know, made sexual advances on them. So it does see, you know, first of all, when you're working with children, there is already a displacement of power, right? Because you're an adult and that's a child. So there is a power differential there. And I don't think people realize that because people are always like, well, why didn't the child tell? Why did the child talk? But when you're a child, you're raised to respect your elders. You're raised for some to fear your elders. So it's not a situation where a child could feel like they have a voice to say, hey, my coach, my you know, my mentor is violating me. You know what I'm saying? It's a situation. Welcome in, guys. We're recording the RuMa Mill podcast. Feel free to jump in the box, join the conversation. We're talking about that new series that just came out on Hulu called Quiet on the Set, and all these Nickelodeon child stars coming out and talking about the abuse they received while on set. Also, women were receiving abuse in terms of not being treated fairly, not being paid equally. So it's sickening to watch, but I'm very glad this series came out because it's showing more and more people be careful. We're watching. Everybody's watching now, and you gotta whatever that dysfunction is in you, you gotta get it fixed. You know? Can they get fixed? That's another question. Can they get fixed? I don't know.
Mm-hmm. That's
So
crazy.
Anything else you want to say about this? Because I think this is a good segue into my next topic, unless you have something else to add.
I have to- I hope, I don't know if it's only 4 episodes, but all four, if I think all four should be up on Hulu. If you have a chance, go watch it. Just go watch it, especially if you watch Nickelodeon and stuff back in the day.
Eli said, no, they can't. Once a predator, always a predator. So, speaking of predators, my topic for tonight is about safety in online dating. Guys, it's getting crazy out here. So, a while back, there is still a documentary on Netflix called, now I might fudge the words up, but it's called, I believe, Lover, Stalker, Killer. Did you guys hear about that? Lover, Stalker, Killer. It is about a couple that met on one of the apps I actually stream on, the Plenty of Fish app. And this gentleman met a woman. Spoiler alerts, of course, if you guys want to actually watch it. I mean, I think you should still watch it, even though I'm going to say what I'm going to say. But it's about a man who met, he got a divorce and he went on a dating app and he met a woman and they had a good time together, but it didn't develop to anything more. And he met someone else on the app that he had more of an organic connection with. So he kind of cut it off with this woman and he went on to date this new woman. And then this new woman just kind of went ballistic on him and, started stalking him. And then she started stalking his ex as well, the lady before her that he was dating that he met on the app. And then she just disappeared, but she was just doing like a lot of frantic things, like calling 30 times in a row and all of this craziness. Well, come to find out, the lady that he thought was stalking him was not that woman. In fact, it was the woman that he had originally dated from the app, and she killed, she unalived that woman that she took on her persona, her personality, her identity, and was pretending to be her, but in reality, that woman was already unalived. That's one situation that I heard about months ago that when the documentary came out. And just 5 weeks ago, I don't know if you guys heard about this couple on Tag. Now, this is another dating app. I'm not on the Tag app, but in this situation that happened 5 weeks ago, it's about a woman went to the airport with her kids. I got to really look up the story. I just heard about it tonight before we came on this show. But basically, she went to the airport with her kids. This gentleman picked her up, took the kids to the babysitter, and then she was never heard from again. To this day, they don't know what happened to the woman. They're assuming that she is unalive as well. So I think we should really spend a little bit of our show, being that we are both streamers and we both dated on the apps and we also have met each other on the apps. I think we should spend a little bit of time talking about how to be safe with online dating. And for those of you streamers that are watching me live and Rose live, if you want to jump in the box and give your opinions, give your tips, or also put it in the comments, we'd appreciate you participating in this as well. Rose, what would you say to men? What would you say to men that are dating on the app? How could they protect themselves?
I gotta talk to these people. Listen, I mean, it's kind of hard because a lot of people that's really like invested in these apps is invested. So it's like hard to tell them like treat it like somebody on the street, yo. Like that's how I treat people. Like I can't explain to you how I treat people that I meet on this app, how I meet, like how I treat somebody I meet on the street. And I just take I'm not, if I meet somebody on the street, I'm not inviting them to my house right away. If I
Okay.
meet somebody on the street, I'm not, I'm not, I'm getting to know them before, like we hanging out in public places and stuff like that before anything. Like you understand, people's gonna know that I'm going, and you're gonna have to come to. I mean, if you're a female, I think the guy should come by to you. Cause I mean, I don't know, cause it could be vice versa. You just gotta really like have like parameters for yourself, like what you won't allow, and treat it like the streets, because this is becoming the streets.
This
This
is the streets. This is the way. But how would you tailor that to people who meet long distance? For instance, like, there are people who meet on the app and they live in different states, different countries. So they can't go on a date, right? Like, let's say if the man is coming to meet the woman in her state, he's probably, a lot of people on the app aren't rich, so he's probably coming to stay at her house. So how do you still create safety? Like, I know that was our situation. We lived in different places. You were in one state, I was in another, and then when you came to see me the first time, we were dating for 2 weeks before we got to meet up with each other. And then when you did come, you stayed at my house. So how did you know I was safe? Because I'm going to talk about how I knew you were safe, but how did you know I was safe?
to you for like, I was talking to you for like, all right, for like a month. There, between the month we started dating, but it was constant talking. It was me knowing a lot about what's going on with you, and I'm seeing it. But it's kind of like I ain't even gonna lie, it's kind of hard now because
Yeah, because people could lie.
yeah, like I don't even know how. I would just tell you, trust your gut. I not your heart, not your mind. Your gut don't let you do nothing wrong. I know that. I know that in life. When things don't feel right, I get a stomach ache. So, like I'm telling you, because I don't know how to tell you. It's all kind of apps. It's AI. The best thing I would tell you, if you is going to meet up with somebody, bring a friend with you. The first time should, like in these times, you should not be alone unless you understand. Let people see who you talking to. I know it's kind of weird where you be like, "Oh, this is my friend." Still let them see. Let them see, let them know, like let them know is don't be secretive. Don't be secretive about a stranger. That's basically what I'm saying. Like you can't be saying, "Oh, I'm talking to this person and nobody knows them," and you just go off. And then when you like, God forbid, you understand something happened to you. So if you talking, that's all I could say. I don't know where to go. This is a hard situation to talk about because
Well, I will say what I did. Hi guys, welcome in. Eli said if I was going to meet someone from another state, the first couple of times I would stay at a hotel where cameras are. So interestingly enough, when Rose and I, we were on a break for 7 months. We broke up for 7 months during our time together. And in that time, he dated people, I dated people, and I ended up dating another streamer from another state. And when we first met, I did do that. I did say, let's meet at a hotel. Let's go out and hang out because I don't know you, and I don't know if I want to bring you to my house. And we actually went on a couple of dates for maybe 2 months before I finally brought him to my house, because I was just like trying to vet him. But the other thing that I do, which Eli also mentioned, is he said, do a background check on that person. I actually did a background check on Rose and on all the guys I date. And you're not looking for fraud. I'm just looking to see if his stories matched up. So he had given me the name of his grandmother. And then when you do a background check, you can see kind of like the people that are related to him or, how they interact in his life. And the name he gave me of his grandmother, when I did a background check, that did show up. His name, you guys might think, oh, but if his name is David Smith, it's David Smith. No, people give false information. So when I did the background check, I really just wanted to know, is the name he gave me really his name? And yes, is the phone number he's calling me from really his phone number, right? Because you have like all these Google numbers or WhatsApp or whatever. So that was a great way to find out, like, okay, I can trust him because he's given me his name, he's given me his phone number. At one point, he even gave me his address. I forgot what that was for. It was for something. I think I had to mail you something, or I think it was my book. I wanted a copy of my book or something. And he gave me his address. So when the background check came up, that was the address that he was at. So those things actually created trust for me, right? That made me feel like, okay, I could invite this man into my life as my boyfriend. And then I
this was
can,
before COVID. Okay.
this was after COVID.
This was right where COVID, like right at the height. it was in that year because it was
Yeah, December
this.
2020. So that's what I would recommend to women, if women and men, if you're talking to people seriously on this app, right? Get that you want their real names, their real phone numbers, and you want to do a search. It's like what, $2 or $3 to do a search on someone, a background check. And you're not really trying to pry and be in their business. You're just trying to see if these things do line up. Another thing that I did, I don't even know if I told you this, but I created a fake account and I would sit in his streams. When I tell you, when that man streamed, every time he streamed, I was in his stream. I would never, participate. I was just really there watching because I wanted to see, was he flirting with women? Was he talking to other girls? Was he feeding them the same line he was feeding me? And what actually warmed my heart is he talked a lot about me. Even though I wasn't there, he talked a lot about me, and that made me feel, again, all warm and fuzzy, like, okay, this guy is really serious about me. He's really considering me as somebody he wants to be in a relationship with. I feel that the people that are playing on here, they're going to tell you a lot of stuff, and then when they're by themselves or they think you're not there, they're going to be a whole different person. That is a red flag. If they're not consistently the same person, that is a red flag. I would say you might want to run at that point.
I would just say with the last thing I say about that is just do if you do more due diligence that you would do if you was meeting somebody on the street. That's all
Yeah.
I.
The
That's
problem is when you meet somebody from your neighborhood, you can ask somebody about that person. Like, I grew up in Guyana, right? So if I wanted to date a guy in Guyana, somebody knew him or his family or his friends, or his friends were friends with my friends. So it was a community. So you felt safe, right? But when you meet people on the app, who are their people? Who do they hang out with? But you can still find out by finding out who they hang out with on the dating apps. If you, let's say you meet like a Uma on the dating app, who's Uma's friends? What are they like? Are they representative of her, or are they completely ratchet and out here cheating and hoeing around? Then maybe Uma's that too. Like, your friends, right, can tell you a lot about the person that you're interested in. You know what I think though? I think in dating online, I think dating in general, people are just not putting in the effort anymore. And that's what makes me really, really sad, because I'm a romantic. I like romantic things. And I always say, I feel I was born in the wrong time. I wish I was born, like, not born, but dating. I wish I was dating like back in the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, where men and women just really took their time and nobody was rushing and people were enjoying dating and doing little things together. It seems like everybody just wants to Netflix and chill now, and it's like kind of sad. So that's it for streaming and dating. Just be safe. Be safe is the best thing I can say. Does anyone have any questions or comments about that? Because I know you're all dating on the apps, and if you have anything you want to share, please feel free to. But if not, that brings us to the end of our podcast for today. I think we covered a lot of great topics. And Rose, where can people find you if they wanted to, like, come hang out with you and get to talk to you more?
to find me or meet me.
Yeah.
That's it.
Do you have a
Deal with.
schedule or not yet?
Oh, I got a show actually tomorrow at 9 p.m. with Eli. Pull up, it's a sports show. We're gonna talk about some sports.
All right.
9 p.m.
9 p.m. Eastern on Thursday, March 21st, in Big Rose's stream. Him and Eli are going to be talking about it. Eli said, best thing to do is a few video chats. Whoever I'm talking to, I always video chat, because that's to cut out the catfishing or your picture was taken 20 years ago, right? Like, if you video chat somebody, then you can, like, get an idea. So I want to thank you, Rose, for being my co-host on this show. I really enjoy doing the RuMa Mill. And for those of you listening in, whether live or on the recording, we have now a new time. It's going to be Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Is it 8 p.m. or 9 p.m.?
Mm,
7. It's 7
no,
p.m. Sorry, Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Because 8 p.m. I'm on TikTok. So Wednesdays at 7 p.m. here on the Meet Me app on YouTube. Or you can wait for the recording. So thanks, guys, so much for joining in. We wish you a great week, and we'll see you guys again